On Wednesday, an unexpected invitation for Jack.
When are you coming to see me?
Soon.
What's going on?
I've been called away.
Can't be his parents, they're both dead.
Jack, the lad.
I haven't told Beth about her.
An old friend?
A bit more than that.
A woman?
A time for home truths in peak practice, Wednesday at 9.
Dermot Murnaghan has a roundup of Easter Sunday's news from ITN, next on Meridian.
You can't have a small car that's good on the open road.
You can with a Nissan.
And now all new Micras come with a year's free insurance. You can with a Nissan.
You can never explain to people how bad the burning pain of excess stomach acid can be, or the feeling that whatever you take, the pain may come back. And back. And back. Pepcid AC works in a quite extraordinary new way. One little pill helps put out the pain and actually controls excess stomach acid for up to 9 hours.
Pepcid AC contains famotidine, now available from your pharmacist without a prescription. The first to last in acid control.
The revolutionary Flymo Turbo Compact collects more grass than any other hover mower. With a central box that can squeeze this much grass into this much space. So you hardly ever have to stop and empty it. So easy, it's as if the garden lends a hand.
I've discovered perfection. L'Oreal Perfection. The perfect harmony of makeup with care. Rouge Sublime. For moisturizing hour after hour. Ultra-length protein mascara. For lashes that are longer, stronger. Lightness foundation with liposomes to caress my skin. So it's flawlessly perfect.
L'Oreal Perfection. Perfect makeup, perfect care too.
In 1993, Nissan exported more cars from Britain than any other manufacturer. You can with a Nissan.
Dover Old Town Jail. Getting in is not the problem.
For great deals in gardening and leisure goods, come to Jackswood this Easter weekend. There's a branch near you. Jackswood, Paddock Wood, Elm Court, Gillingham, Upper Harpledown, Canterbury.
There are big bargains at the bank holiday markets. Langley Centre, Eastbourne and Rye Market.
On Easter Monday at 10:20, a very special movie for the first time on Meridian. Real or Replicant, a test to identify robots who must be eliminated. Eliminated by the Blade Runner, no matter what the cost.
You think I'm a replicant, don't you?
The light that burns twice as bright burns half as long.
I can see you!
Did you ever take that test yourself?
Rutger Hauer, Sean Young and Harrison Ford in Blade Runner. The director's cut, uncut, Easter Monday 10:20 on Meridian.
Good evening, this is the news from ITN. Tonight's headlines. The government tells Gerry Adams, stop playing with people's emotions. The death of Lady Caithness, police reopen their investigation. And why France ordered the D-Day veterans out of their hotel rooms. Downing Street tonight rejected a fresh appeal by the Sinn Féin leader Gerry Adams for a positive response to the IRA's announcement of a 3-day ceasefire. Number 10 said Sinn Féin should stop playing with people's emotions and end the violence for good. Earlier, Mr Adams said the ceasefire created an opportunity to end the stalemate over the Downing Street declaration.
For Gerry Adams and his colleagues, there is no date in the calendar more significant than Easter, the time of the 1916 uprising against British rule in Dublin. It is because Easter does have such historical resonance that he's been arguing the planned 3-day IRA ceasefire is an important gesture. Under the government ban, we can't broadcast his voice, but after his oration he told the press it is very, very significant. People may say 72 hours is short, but from an IRA position, it's a very, very long time. And this morning, Cardinal Daly, traditionally a strong critic of the IRA, said he also believed it was important.
Seeing it from their point of view, it's a big step. From the public point of view, from the point of view of how the public in general in Ireland and in Britain see this, it's minimal, even derisory. But we should not reject it. It could be developed. Let's test it and see.
So far, the British government seems to have discounted it. But Gerry Adams' deputy, Martin McGuinness, said in Dublin that British officials had talked to Sinn Féin for 3 years, and their refusal to do so now was farcical. What Republicans want at the moment is recognition by the government of their rights as a political party, something ministers say they're quite willing to give, but only when the violence stops. Tom Bradby, ITN, Belfast.
Cabinet ministers have been rallying around the Prime Minister after opinion polls suggested there's widespread dissatisfaction with his performance. The Home Secretary, Michael Howard, defended Mr Major's record and denied there was any threat to his leadership.
The Prime Minister, meeting party members in Huntingdon yesterday, insisted the talk of leadership crisis wasn't going to knock him off course, but with a poll showing that 2/3 of voters want him to retire and renewed evidence that many Conservative MPs don't expect him to survive, the Home Secretary today stepped in to help him, denying there was any real dispute about his leadership.
Absolutely not. It was John Major that led us to victory at the last election against all the odds. It was John Major that negotiated that formidable agreement at Maastricht, securing for us the opt-outs from the social chapter, from monetary union. It is John Major who has the vision and the qualities of leadership that are necessary to take us through the next election and beyond. And he demonstrates day by day that he has the inner steel that is required to give that leadership.
One senior backbencher blamed what he called Westminster gossip for distracting attention from the government's policies.
It's not a popularity contest being a Prime Minister. It's about issues. And of course, when nations go through a tough time, the people who bear the brunt of criticism are bound to be Prime Ministers. And if you're always having these polls, then you'd never actually get anything done if you want to change a leader because he's not top of the pops.
This coming week sees the beginning of the campaign for the local elections in early May. Despite that, the Prime Minister's critics show little sign of easing up the pressure on him. The turbulence inside the party looks set to continue. Glyn Mathias, ITN, Westminster.
The police are reopening their investigation into the death of Lady Caithness. Detectives want to check why there was a 3-hour gap between the time of death suggested by Lord Caithness and 2 other witnesses.
4 months after it happened, the shotgun death of Lady Diana Caithness at her home in Oxfordshire is once again being investigated by police. Last month, an inquest recorded a verdict of suicide. Her husband was among those who gave evidence. What was said in court may form part of the new inquiry. Lord Caithness told the coroner he last saw his wife at 6:20 p.m. He said she killed herself 10 minutes later at 6:30. But a neighbour heard a loud bang like a gunshot at around 3 p.m. and the family doctor said he was called at 6 p.m. He arrived half an hour later and thought Lady Diana had been dead for 3 hours. Those who followed the case closely are now awaiting the outcome of the new investigation.
I would think that the time discrepancy would come into it, but in their statement, the police do say they'll be looking at areas of concern expressed by the family which were not dealt with at the inquest, so there could be other things yet to come out.
A letter to police from Lady Diana's parents is thought to be behind the decision to reopen the case. At the time of their daughter's death, they spoke of her distress when she learned of her husband's friendship with another woman. At the family home today, Lord Caithness refused to comment.
The Archbishop of Canterbury has urged churchgoers not to despair over the disunity caused by the ordination of women priests. In his Easter address, Dr. George Carey said there was now much cause for optimism and hope, despite 2 very difficult years. He said rising numbers of people were being confirmed by the Church. The Pope, in his Easter message, said the world was thirsting for peace and security. He spoke to thousands of pilgrims who had gathered in St. Peter's Square after marching through Rome. Britain's biggest teaching union, the NUT, has voted to step up its boycott of national school tests. The union's conference also threatened all-out strike action. But the Education Secretary, John Patton, warned that industrial action would damage pupils' progress.
The conference was told that the tactics which had forced the government to climb down last year over the new tests could be made to work again. The concessions won through united action by all three teaching unions were still not enough to appease delegates here.
The boycott on the tests will stick this year, it will stick next year, and it will stick every single year until these pernicious tests are absolutely abolished and got rid of.
But as well as strengthening the boycott, delegates wanted action against a whole range of government policies.
We must go back into schools and make sure this boycott holds. The campaign around the SATs proved we can take the Tories on education, involve parents and win.
The motion, which won unanimous support, called on the union to organise not just boycotts but strikes. The leadership says it's a weapon it hopes not to use.
As long as the boycott is taking place, there's no need for strike action, because the boycott itself means that the tests can't be carried out, and nor can the statutory teacher assessment. So I think it's more like a belt and braces exercise. It's there if the executive should need to call upon it, but I see no need for that to be brought into the issue at this stage.
The vote puts the NUT at odds with the other two classroom unions, who are expected at their conferences later this week to reaffirm their intention to drop the boycott. It also spells trouble for the government, who could once again find it impossible to compile meaningful league tables from the national tests. Harry Smith, ITN, Scarborough.
The leaders of South Africa's warring factions have agreed to meet for a peace summit next Friday. The news came after the Inkatha leader, Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi, joined President de Klerk and the African National Congress leader, Nelson Mandela, in an Easter Day service. More than 5,000 demonstrators marched through Moscow today to commemorate those who died in last October's failed uprising against President Yeltsin. Communists and nationalists marched together in a peaceful show of force against the Russian president. Finally, D-Day veterans are furious with the French government after it ruined their plans to attend the 50th anniversary celebrations in Normandy. Hotel bookings made 15 months ago have been cancelled because the French want the veterans' rooms for VIPs.
This is London. D-Day has come. Early this morning, the Allies began the assault on the northwestern face of Hitler's European fortress.
More than 30,000 veterans are expected to return to the Normandy beaches this summer on the anniversary of D-Day, the start of Operation Overlord, the campaign that ended the Second World War in Europe. But the celebrations for former paratrooper Angus Cross have already been soured. Months after paying deposits on hotel rooms in France for 114 Canadian comrades, he received a letter saying they were being cancelled to make way for French officials.
I just can't comprehend it. It wouldn't happen in Britain, would it? I think any hotelier here would say, well, they have a contract, they have a binding contract, they've received money, and they've given the assurances the rooms will be held. What more can you say?
One sympathises with their feelings. Indeed, we've made a great point of trying to make our veterans the centre of all these commemorations. But I do understand the French difficulty, which is that they have a vast influx of people coming into Normandy, all of whom have to be accommodated somewhere.
Angus Cross was today remembering those who died in the D-Day campaign. He says it's scandalous that the survivors are now being treated so badly by the country they helped to liberate.
And that's the news tonight. From all of us here at ITN, good night.
Hello, good evening. Weather-wise, things have turned out to be very disappointing indeed this Easter, and I'm afraid things are set to continue in the same unsettled sort of vein for several more days to come. Now, straight away, let's pick up on the reason why by taking a very quick look at our Met Office cloud scan sequence here for today. What we have is low pressure in charge out here to the west, sending weather systems scurrying through eastwards, and with the weather systems come those changeable conditions. All that cloud moving across, blotting any brightness and causing a lot of rain. Now back to the moment at hand, and it's a case of clearer, showery weather pushing down from the northwest, going southeastwards. No particular problems with temperatures tonight, but we are expecting a lacing of snow on the highest Scottish peaks. As we go into tomorrow, well, the remnants of that light patchy rain just clears the southeastern corner, and we're left with a mixed bag. Sunny intervals, but lots of blustery showers. Tomorrow it's very much a case of dodging those showers, a bit of everything thrown in. Rain, hail, sleet, snow, even the odd rumble or so of thunder. The message being wrap up warm, temperatures are down on today's values. Add on the winds up to gale force at times, and it will feel cold. Good night.
New Sunday drama.
The bag is open, the bag is open. It's knock, knock, knock.
When they knock, people jump.
My name's Adams. Customer's neck size.
We're all looking at about 15 years. I don't think you can do that. I can, actually.
Bill, let's move in.
New hard-hitting drama. The Knock begins next Sunday at 9 on Meridian.
The artist Dame Elizabeth Frink is the subject of the South Bank Show tribute, which is next.
With this amazing new Swish curtain track, I can open and close my curtains from here, from here, from here, and from here, because not only does the Swish curtain track have a remote control, it also has a built-in programmable timer, so you can open and close your curtains even when you're out. It's called Auto Glide, and there's nothing else quite like it. Now that is what I call Swish.
The Escort Cayman at £10,495. It's not camera shy. From your Southern Ford dealer.